Good morning, everyone. I'm here from YCombinator Research. Oh, that's not up. There you go. From YCombinator Research to present on our basic income project. I want to jump right in with a story from our pilot in Oakland. I'm going to talk about one participant who we'll call Brianna. About a year ago, Brianna started receiving $1,500 a month to her bank account. She receives the money every month, no questions asked. There's no conditions or requirements in how she can spend it. Last month, she received her last payment. We checked in with her to see how she was doing. In the past year, she used the money to move to a nearby city and to transition from a part-time to a full-time job. She also uses the money to help pay for her brother's 3 kids and to take care of her elderly mother. Because of basic income, Brianna was able to do a little better than she would have otherwise, despite some worrying economic trends. Let's take a quick look at some of those trends. So since 1980, median household income has only grown 16.5%, even though GDP has grown 154%. We also all know that income inequality is increasing. The top 10% of earners now earn more than the bottom 90% combined. On top of that, intergenerational mobility is also plummeting. In 1940, 90% of children ended up earning more than their parents. Today, only half do. These changes are driven in part by the changing nature of the US job market. In the past 10 years, payroll employment has only increased by 6.5%. That's down from an average of 25% over the previous 4 decades. That's because most new jobs are going to untraditional types of employment, like gig employment or contractor employment, rather than traditional payroll employment. The existing social safety net only partially addresses these issues. Even though we spent $362 billion on welfare in 2015, that only cut poverty by half, from 26.6% to 14.3%. At YC Research, we think it's time for bolder solutions and start testing them. One such solution is universal basic income. Basic income is an unconditional cash transfer guaranteed to all individuals. There are no work requirements, means tests, or restrictions on how the money can be spent. Everyone receives the money individually in an amount sufficient to cover basic needs. The potential impact of basic income is huge. It could completely end poverty as we know it. It could foster growth by investing in human capital and increasing purchasing power. It could spark entrepreneurship and reduce the complexity of current social spending. It could also give people the freedom to define the trajectory of their own lives, like it did for Brianna. On top of that, it could be the beginning of a new foundation for a social contract between communities and their governments. Basic income is being studied around the world, including in Kenya, Finland, and Canada. While we're working with those researchers to coordinate on research outcomes, we believe that research is needed in the US context. The economy, culture, and welfare system here are profoundly different than in those countries. That's why next year we plan to launch the US's first randomized controlled trial on basic income. We'll work in 2 states and have 3,000 participants. 1,000 of them will receive $1,000 per month for 3 years or more. 2,000 will serve as a control group. By comparing the treatment group and the control group, we'll be able to begin to understand a variety of outcomes related to basic income. These outcomes include subjective well-being. How do people feel like they're doing? Physical and mental health. Do people use the extra money to pursue healthy behaviors, like eating healthier food or going to the gym? Are they less stressed? We'll look at time use. What kind of work do people do? Do they work more or less? Do they spend time taking care of their children or the elderly? We'll also be tracking expenditures, crime, social and political outcomes, effects on children, and spillover network effects. By looking at this broad range of outcomes, we think that we'll be able to have a holistic understanding of the individual level effects of basic income. And we hope that this will be the first step in establishing a broad research agenda for basic income and innovative social spending. Thank you.